Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Peace Builders. I'm here at the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution with the Director General in person of Dr. Joseph Ochogu. Thank you for having us, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome to the Institute.
Sir, we are having a little bit of scenario right now in Nigeria. I want to ask you, please, can you enlighten us on the role of Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution in peace building, sir?
Peace and conflict resolution is the apex agency of the federal government in the use of non-forcible means for conflict prevention, conflict management, and conflict resolution. We do that through research, through direct interventions, and then policy advisory. We complement the tri-services, the armed forces, the police, the intelligence community with the work we do. Particularly, we believe in the use of emotional intelligence, collaboration, negotiation, mediation, and some other non-forceful means, of resolving conflict. So we prioritize that, and then we try to mainstream them across all sectors, even at the family level, at the community level, at the local level, at the state and federal level. And I think that Mr. President started very well, in terms of the way he started with collaboration, engaging people, dialogue, bringing people and having conversations with them to try to address the respective differences within the political space to ensure that everybody is on board, to run with it. And we believe that if those kind of approaches of engagement, also happens at the subnational level, where people with different grievances, and different needs and interests, are brought to the table to have a conversation with them and giving a sense of belonging to them, there will be that understanding, in terms of how we live together and how we try to develop as a people. The reason being that once there are disagreements and there are conflicts and the conflicts become violent, it retards society, it reverses development and promotes poverty and anarchy, which is what we work against seriously. So we work with other government agencies, we work with other partners like international non-governmental organizations, local NGOs, national NGOs, community-based organizations, traditional rulers, faith-based organizations, youth groups, women group, and even persons with disabilities. So we work with everybody to ensure that we try to achieve the mandate of peace. Because peace is an all-inclusive affair. It's not a one person's or one institution's affair. It's something that we all have to work together, to ensure we have a better society for our people and for our nation. So we are doing that, and in the Institute we have some reasonable staff strength. Of course, we have different directorates. We have the National Peace Academy that is solely dedicated for training and capacitation of individuals, groups, and communities in the area of conflict management, strategic leadership, courses on negotiation and mediation. And of course, when you finish that track, you become a member of the Peace Institute, MPI. There are other bespoke kind of training we do for the legislatures at subnational level and for other critical stakeholders. Also, we do research, and our mandate is not only in Nigeria. We do research for West Africa largely, and then we work with the AU, the ECOWAS system, and then the UN system, to try to see the extent to which we can achieve sustainable goals. Because the point is that without peace, you can hardly actually achieve anything. Without consensus building, without collaboration, without agreement, amongst the respective diversities, that we have in a society, it's difficult to actually build peace. So we work with everybody and give everybody a sense of belonging to ensure that we achieve our peace mandate.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
For my next question, sir, I'm curious to ask, there are communities where the institutes have not reached yet. So in such situations, how are they expected to combat crisis?
What we do, like everybody is a peace practitioner. That's the truth. So what we try to do is we try to appeal to the hearts and mind of everybody, to look at that peace aspect of you as a human being, first as a father, as a mother, or as a son, as a daughter, within the home front first, to understand that You need peace within your family for you to be able to grow your children, or for you as a child to grow to become a meaningful person. The same thing at the community level. Community leaders also need to become much more aware that their societies need to be peaceful for their youths to grow and to sustain the cultures and traditions of that particular community. Communities that go in the violent tradition way, before you know, their cultures and traditions get eroded. So we build that kind of capacity. Like I said, we work with faith-based organizations. We've had an interfaith meeting here, with religious leaders from both Muslim, Christian, Jewish, different kind of religious people who came to this place here. And then, of course, we have that. And you know that each of those religious leaders, they have large followership. And then, of course, we're on television and radio as well, still spreading these messages of peace, and then reaching out, granting this kind of interview to that we grant, knowing fully well that your social media platform also, the messages are just going to cascade downward, and all that. And of course, we work with the national orientation agencies and other agencies like Federal Radio Corporations of Nigeria, Nigerian Television Authority, Arise, different people. We are actually very, very open and very transparent in the way we conduct our business in this place, because it's the business of peace. First and foremost, you have to be a change agent for you to make change happen in society. So we prioritize that, and that is why our training also is a life transforming training, that we give to people, because if you are not peaceful, you can't make peace. And that's the truth. So for us to reverse the ugly trend of violence that is in our society, we need to mainstream peace. We need to amplify peace, not only within our communities or Nigeria, but even across the sub-region of West Africa and Africa and the world at large. So we are committed to that, and then we are running with it vigorously alongside Mr. President's 8 points priority areas, which has to do with issues around inclusion, issues around job creation, issues around food security, issues around national security for the people, access to capital, all those 8 priority areas also, the overarching success for them actually lies in peace. And we are working with that, as well as President Tinubu's foreign policy doctrine, which is anchored on 4 Ds, that is diplomacy, democracy, diaspora, and demography. So we in the Institute are trying to bring that, because the point is that where you have good democratic culture in a society, you're going to have more peaceful coexistence. That is what is called the democratic peace agenda, which is a more global, which is a much more global agenda. What that means is that the more democratic a society is, the less conflict happens in those kind of society, and the more democratic nation states become, the more peaceful the world become. The essence is that we use democratic channels, to address grievances, to address fault lines, and all that. And, democracy provides space for collaborative and cooperative competition, for regular and routine elections, So if you lose election this time around, you can begin to plan towards the next election and all that. Democracy is a system of government where the child of nobody can become somebody, So that is why we are not operating a monarchical system of government. We are operating democracy. So the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution is promoting those plank, of democracy, those plank of development, to ensure, that the foreign policy objectives of Mr. President and the core objectives that is derived from the Nigerian Constitution, are all achieved, not only within Nigeria, but across Africa, where our mandate runs through. So as we engage with other partners, for example, in the AU, ECOWAS, and other groups across Africa, either intellectual space or in the governance space, wherever we meet, we project this kind of identity, of what we are. And I want to actually encourage Nigerians, to be a bit patient. Development takes time. It is violence that is sudden, spontaneous, and very, very destructive. But if you want to develop, if you want peace, you really have to build it for us to become a more better nation. And then young Nigerians shouldn't be deceived to take up arms. Young Nigerians shouldn't be deceived to go into crime. If you go that track, your life is limited. The best way to go is the life of sacrifice, the life of giving to your nation, supporting your neighbor, supporting your family, in the most legitimate way that you can. And I think that is why we in the Institute to buy very strongly, and as an individual to buy strongly into the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. It's like a spiritual anchor, a renewed hope agenda. So if you look at it, you as an individual, you have to renew hope in yourself first and foremost to do the kind of work that you need to do. You have to renew hope in your family, to have hope with your family, and then run with your family the way you need to run with. Then you need to have renewed hope with your neighbors in your community and make it a much more better place. And then have a renewed hope in your place of work, and have a renewed hope in the nation, Nigeria. And above all, have renewed hope in the world. And then you can live very well as a human being, and make a success of your life. But if you want to shortcut these processes, you're just going to end negatively. So we advise Nigerian youths, the youth population, who are much more vulnerable, to negative sensitization and manipulation, for them to understand that they need to live well, they need to follow the system gradually, incrementally. Over 20-something years ago, I was looking for a job, even as a graduate with master's. But today, I'm here. So if I'd taken the violent track, maybe in 4 or 5 years, I would have been short-circuited. So building an individual and building a nation, takes a process and takes time. It can be incremental, it can be enduring, but the long-term story of it is a very good one. And that is why we canvass, advocate strongly, on the issue of peace and development for our nation, Nigeria. It is only Nigeria we have. We don't have any other country again. And it is the youth energy that needs to build this country. And that is why we are calling it we are youths. And that's the truth. If you look at most of people who are generals or who are admirals or those who are directors in the public service and all that, those were youths too, as at 1986, 1985, 1984, and all that. So the point I'm trying to make is that Nigerian youth must learn the act of perseverance. I can assure you there is no get rich quick. You can't get any money quick. Those who entered into 419 when we left university, as at today, they are nowhere to be found. They are fizzled out. But those who took the path, the slow but yet peaceful and incremental path, today they have their heads high up. Every Nigerian youth should be career-minded. What is it that you are good at that you want to pursue in your life? Take your time, start it, and let people know you for it. And once people know you for it, that translates into money for you. Because it's the network that you build over time and the skills that you build over time and the services that you render over time to society that becomes the money, the income that comes to you. So Nigerian youth must learn that, and must learn the ones that are sustainable, the ones that are good. I think that above all, Nigerian youth should be God-fearing. They should be much more spiritual. I'm not saying religious now. They should understand that there is a maker called God who had created man in his own image and likeness, and then they should follow the ethics and the teachings, of what the maker wants. The maker wants patience, the maker wants good work, the maker wants the life of sacrifice. And the life of sacrifice is what we're able to do to our society. When you see an injured person, provide the necessary help and volunteering above all. Volunteer in your schools, volunteer in your local community, volunteer even in your household. Today we are seeing young men and young girls who don't want to do anything in their house again. They think it's a right for them to be fed by their parents, but it's not correct. Even in developed countries that we are talking about, once you are 18, you begin to go fend for yourself and look for work. So here, children, youths, they need to contribute to their immediate family. They need to sweep the house, they need to remove cobwebs, they need to wash clothes, they need to iron clothes. So many things that the family needs to do, the youths need to take it up, because responsibility is what attracts growth and progress. Irresponsibility just short-circuits your life, doesn't take you anywhere. So Nigerian youths must be, and then they must be humble, they must be pious. Pious in the sense that you don't earn money and then you want to buy something of 1 million. You're not working, you want to use a phone, of 1 million, 1 point something. So once that enters, then the vulnerability and the substability, of that particular youth begins to go into a dimension that is not too correct. And so they should be modest, they should be calm, they should be patient, they should be more sacrificial, work harder, have future in mind. And before you know, God make things happen for them. That's the truth, and that is how this thing works. So there is no shortcut. Prostitution, stealing, robbery, 419 is just going to end your life in a very short way. It will make you to live in regret and shame for the rest of your life, even if you are old. So don't take that decision, to go into prostitution. Don't take that decision to join Yahoo. Don't take that decision to just go the very way of vices, which is not going to pay you. Can assure you the car you buy from a stolen money can accident you and kill you at the age of 20 if you are not careful. So I think Nigerian youths are great people. I can assure you, because I was once a youth. And I can tell you that once you follow the right path, God in His infinite goodness and mercy will help you, to grow in your career paths. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Lastly, do you think there's any way the government can come in ensuring peaceful coexistence?
The business of peace is not government alone. And I must say that the government is doing its bit. The citizens too needs to do their bit. Other stakeholders too needs to do their bit, because it's together that we can make this thing happen. The government cannot be everywhere at the same time. And that is why local communities, individuals must cooperate with the policing and the state security system to report anything that they see that is untoward within their immediate neighborhood. And even there are lines now you can just send reports and then they will follow it up. So we need to take advantage of what is available and then report these systems and then see that actions are taken. If we are docile, we can't blame the government. We need to be active and enlightened citizens to help our government to perform. And we need to make a demand on our government to perform on certain things, because governance is on a continuum of demand and supply. The government on one side, the citizens on the demand side, the government on the supply side. So the citizens must be active, enlightened, and make demand, and then government on the supply side will reach out, and then we'll have, on the middle of the road, good governance. Once we can't do that, then we'll have a problem. People must take advantage of your state legislatures. Take advantage of your federal legislatures. Take advantage. How many people have written to their state governors or whatever over issues around bad road? You can't tell me if 500 of you people live in a street and decide to write 500 letters to your state governor. I don't know the impact. That will make a lot of impact. So we are not using those avenues, to express ourselves, to do certain things. So we need to be democratically minded also as citizens, to ensure that our government will perform democratically. And we must use democratic channel, which is non-violence, to make demands on the government, to make things happen for us.